Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bookology, the show with interviews, blindfolds, and snacks from around the world. I'm BJ Fournier, and tonight, we're going to England, mate. Let's get into it, shall we? Hey everyone, and welcome back to Bookology, the show with interviews, blindfolds, and snacks from around the world. So I'm very excited to have our very first male author on the show, and it's going to be a great one. As you've heard, tonight's snacks do come from England, but stay tuned because we have a ton of other countries that we're going to visit. Next episode, we're going to Brazil and then off to Italy. So it's definitely going to be an interesting few weeks and episodes coming, and you're not going to want to miss some of the really cool snacks these countries have. Before we get into the introduction, just remember to like the video and share it if you are enjoying yourself. Now, this, whether you're live or not, doesn't matter. If you're catching the replay, it's okay to still do that, okay? And say hello. Let us know where you guys are from in the chat and the comments below. We always respond to all comments, okay? So tonight, we're switching gears a bit, all right? And we're going to go down the dark road of dystopia, which is exciting, with the author of the sought-after book, The Outlander, Tyler Edwards. Tyler is an author and pastor at Carolina Forest Community Church. Now, he has degrees in biblical literature and Christian ministry from Ozark Christian College, which is a college I am familiar with. He does write both fiction and nonfiction, lives in South Carolina with his wife Erica and their son Rowan, who they actually adopted in 2019. Now, with many self-publishers in today's market, Tyler separates himself from the rest with his traditionally published book, The Outlander. In the ruins of the world that was, lies the city of Dios, a haven protected from the hostile environment known as the Outlands. Ruled by an oppressive patriarch, the people of Dios are conditioned in fear. The smallest infraction could result in banishment to the Outlands, a fate worse than death. With his makeshift family of undesirables, Jet Lasting struggles to find his place in a world where drawing attention to yourself can get you killed. His very existence is considered a crime. To survive, he must avoid guards, beggar gangs, and ever-growing tension that could drag the whole city into chaos. Jet unwittingly becomes entwined in a plot to overthrow the government, where his choices could lead to freedom or death of everyone he's ever known or cared about. This book has actually gotten raving reviews, and I'm super excited to dive into the details of what it's about and how it was developed. So please join me in welcoming tonight's guest author, Tyler Edwards, everyone. All right. We are here, and we're excited to have Tyler Edwards on the show tonight. Before we do get started, and I officially introduce this awesomeness, the name of the book is Outlands. I know I said Outlanders. I was just a little confused and thirsty at the moment, so let me take a quick sip. And then while I'm taking a sip, why don't you tell us a little bit about the book before we get started with some of our questions and whatnot. All right, Tyler?
Okay. The Outlands is a dystopian book about essentially a group of people who live in one of the last remaining cities on Earth after most of the world was turned into a hostile wasteland. And so they are living in this very, very controlled city that is ruled by a domineering group called the Patriarch that has organized everybody into a caste system, and they kind of force everyone to kind of fit into their mold and do the jobs assigned to them and they kind of try to turn everybody into sheep. And so the main characters are people that don't fit within the system. And so they're kind of trying to survive in a world that doesn't really care that they exist or want them to exist, and find their place in a world that says they don't have one. And so it's kind of a story essentially working through the friendship identity and figuring out, how to get by against very difficult scenarios and
I'm
opponents.
interested after talking with you a little bit back set here at the behind the scenes, in how your mind has created these worlds. So we're going to definitely dive into that, and I'm looking forward to it. For the audience right now, everybody, the chats are open. So if you have any questions that you're looking to ask Tyler or even myself on behalf of Tyler, just ask the questions in the chat. The more engagement, the better. And as you guys know, we do give away a free book of his to the audience. So if you guys are interested, the people who are responding are the ones we're going to select from. So get in that chat and ask as many questions as you can. In the meantime, while you guys are getting your stuff situated, I'm going to start asking you a few questions. How's that sound?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's get into it. All right. If anybody is having any sound issues or you can't hear anything, please let me know so we can fix the issue. All right. So how long have you been writing before we get started?
Well, since probably about fifth grade.
So you really like
supposed to be paying attention in class. They give you little notebooks, and I started ignoring my teachers and writing down story ideas instead because I thought that was more fun. And I wrote down some truly, truly terrible stories. And then, they got a little bit better year by year, but there were some pretty awful ones in there.
What age are you at fifth grade? How old are we at fifth grade? So,
oh gosh, I don't even remember.
Yeah, I was about 12. I don't know what grade that was, but a very similar story to yours. Just writing absolutely horrible stories and giving them to my mother as gifts.
Yeah. My mom still appreciates those, especially the first drafts where she's like, none of these are set. What is this?
Yeah, exactly. So when did you actually release the Outland?
That actually released January 23rd of this year.
Oh, so it's so fresh, huh?
Yeah, it's still warm. I got one back here, and it's still like
warm.
I'm worried to smear the ink.
Yeah, be careful because that does happen, you know. Especially if you're getting it from Amazon.
Yeah, right.
So I know you actually had the opportunity to we're gonna just get off topic for 1 second here. You had the opportunity to publish traditionally what I thought was the Outlands, but it ended up being a different book. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. And
yeah, my first book.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Your first book.
Oh, yeah. My first book was a nonfiction book called Zombie Church that got published through a publication company called Kriegel. And so they used to be, HarperCollins had a thing called Autonomy, a website which like you could kind of load up manuscripts, people could read it and people could respond, and you could, rate and view each other's stuff. And then the more traction it got, the more likely an editor might find it. And so I had it on there, and an agent that worked for Kriegel kind of found it there and asked me if I'd want to submit it to their company. And I said, no, I wanted to have a book on here, but I don't want to get it published because I wrote it so that no one would ever read it. And then she talked me into it after that.
Well, it was good that she did that for you, Tyler. So Zombie Church.
I appreciate it. I was confused as to how it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta tell me.
It's a weird metaphor, so.
Yeah, no, it really is. It really is. You gotta tell me. Since you've been able to do both, you've self-published now, and you've also traditionally published. What are the differentiating factors between the two?
So there's a lot of things like with a publisher, they're gonna give you that starting push because they have certain machines, audiences, like people that are tuned into their stuff already in place.
Right.
So that initial push of the book getting traction, they're gonna do all that. They gotta walk you through the process. You just kind of, what do you want me to do? Edit this? Okay, cool. Here, you good with these changes? Yeah. And then they just kind of walk you through it with their editors and stuff. And that part of it is great. It's nice. There's really a cool thing in kind of feeling like, wow, this is a group of people that believe in what I've created, what I've written here. They value it, and they're investing financially in it because they think it'll be successful. And so that's, as a writer, that's a hugely honoring and kind of encouraging thing to go, there's some people behind this.
Right.
They'll give it that initial push, and depending on the size of the publisher, it'll move out. And after about that first 3 months, it sort of becomes the same, with one major difference. When you self-publish, you have control over the product. You can set deals, you can send free copies to people, you can do all those things and maneuver those prices and adjust all that for your own purposes, where you can't do that with a traditional publisher. So once that initial push is done, if you've got to do the traction on your own, you've got to market it on your own, but you don't have the same tools. What I've at least found, because like if I wanted to go give a bunch of copies away of the book that I had traditionally published, I can't just go out and give those copies because they have to go through their website.
Sure.
And offer them those deals. And so I can't try to build more momentum unless I'm just going to buy a bunch of the books and do that way.
Right.
So with that, it's more about you have to get in front of people and you have to promote it. Whereas the doing it yourself is you have to do a lot of that initial work, and it's work. It is constant trudging to get people to review it and sending copies and hoping that, 1 out of every 7 people that you send it to will actually do what they said they would do.
Yeah.
And then you start getting a little bit of traction that way. But because you have control of the product, you can do things with certain marketing that you couldn't otherwise do to kind of hopefully, what you hope is if I get these in front of the right groups and enough people, it'll get some stuff and it'll kind of go on its own.
Right. Now, so with the traditional publishing, did they just print it out a certain number of copies to start with? Is that how that worked?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I'm not exactly sure. I think they did a certain, like a run of it. And I don't know exactly what that number was with their stuff. But I know how many, like, kind of the units that they sold within that and stuff, but they'll give you like an advance on your royalties, and then like, here's your cut. And your cut's usually a bit smaller when you go through traditional publisher because they're taking their cut first.
Right.
And so you've got that. But so you just get a royalty check every now and then, kind of a thing. But they'll print a chunk and then they'll send them. I don't know how that works because now it seems like the print on demand stuff has become so much cheaper and easier. That may have shifted because that one published 10 years ago.
This is wow. 10 years ago, huh? Wow. So you that's
I was pretty young for that one.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure you've learned a lot along the way. But Zombie Church is as a pastor, that's got to be something, huh?
Yeah, it sort of it hooked a lot of people who thought it was about zombies, and then all the people that I wanted to read it were like, "What? We don't talk about zombies. That's not Christian." And I was like, "Guys, it's a metaphor." So it was lost on a couple of different audiences in a couple of ways for the time, but
so it's not about zombies.
It's one of those, kind of. It's about the metaphor, sort of, but not. Yeah, there's no actual. What you would picture is there's no Walking Dead in it.
Gotcha.
In that
Interesting.
sense.
Well, we're getting off topic. That is not the book we're trying to talk about here. So stop it, Tyler.
I'm sorry. That's my fault.
Yeah. So do you think I know you just wrote this. I didn't realize you had just published this. But do you think there's going to be maybe a sequel to the book, or are you going to make it into a series, or is this kind of a standalone book, The Outlands?
It's my desire is to make it a series. I wanted to leave it at one of those spots where it's like
cliffhanger. If
this is all it was, it's a cliffhanger ending, but it's like it could kind of just be one of those stories. But I deliberately wrote it because I wanted it to be a sequel, and I wanted it to be a sequel. I've actually started book 2. I'm on chapter 2 of book 2 right now. Writing through that. So I do have plans and workings for it just because it's a world that, that's my favorite thing about dystopias is you kind of get to create a whole world.
I know.
So I'm like, there's so much more to this world that I want to play with and unpack because you only see one facet of it in book 1. And there's basically this facet that I'm going to unpack in book 2 is the stuff that all of book 1 is just kind of hinting at and teasing, like, hey, there's this Outlands. And it's just building all that up, but you never actually get to see what you're dealing with, conceptually. So I'm like, well, book 2, maybe we get to spend a little bit more time there or kind of unpack it a little bit more. Maybe I just keep teasing it. Who knows?
Yeah. See, that's perfect. So I'm itching to dive into this because I have a lot of good questions about. I just want to learn more about this dystopia that you've created. But I do, just for the authors who might come on and be interested. Can you give me just some likes and dislikes that you have regarding being an author?
About books, writing, or about marketing? What part of that you? I got likes and dislikes for everything. What you want?
No, just the author experience. So, You know what? The author experience as a whole, as a self-publisher, we have to be honest with ourselves. The marketing is very much inclusive in that. So, just as a whole in general, what can people expect, in your opinion, to maybe be some positives and negatives?
So the cool thing is like a series of goofy, I call them honest ads, where I'm more making fun of myself and then saying, oh, hey, here's a book too.
Yeah.
Than actually like the stuff like when people call their own book a page turner, and I kind of want to rip out some of my hair just to like, it's fine if someone else calls it that, but don't call your own book a page turner. Obviously you think that or you wouldn't have wrote it. If you can't even turn the pages and you wrote the thing, why should I read it?
Yeah, write a bio about yourself. And well,
Right.
I write really great page turners. Cliffhangers always leaving you on the edge, so you definitely want to pick those up.
Right.
Sorry.
So I did one that was like, hey, my mom really likes this book, and that was one of my ads. And that's like, that's what we're talking about here. My mom loves it because she has to, because she gave me birth. So
Yeah. Listen, I tell you what, I have to ask my mom 12 times if she really likes my book, because I just don't know if I can trust her. Do you know what I mean? Like before, like when I put it all out and I was ready, I sent it to her. She read a little bit of it and she loved it, and I'm like, Mom, you really like my book? You got it? I mean, I'm ready to send it out to the masses. Don't leave me on a limb here. And she was adamant about being like, listen, I don't lie to you, Bob. She calls me Bob. That's not even my name.
that's fantastic.
So we're gonna get into some great questions here. I'm looking forward to it. But if you are ready, we can start doing some of the tasting here for some snacks out in England. What do you think?
Okay, we'll give it a whirl.
All right, mate. So if you want to grab that mask there right behind you, I think that was more Australian, wasn't it?
Australian, I think. Yeah.
You blabbering idiot. That's better. That's much better, actually.
There you go.
There it is. You just got to give me a minute and I can get it. Don't open that box.
It takes me like an hour to zoom in. Nope, I'm can't see what I'm doing.
Awesome. So, how many? You only have one child, right?
Yes, I have a son who just turned 2.
Yeah, and you adopted your son in 2019, and that's amazing, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were in the room when he was born, and
Wow.
we've had another baby.
Was that pre-planned, like before, like when they were pregnant and ready, or did it just kind of happen?
Yeah, we met the birth mother when she was still pregnant. She selected us to be the family that would raise him and stuff like that. So we kind of went through. It's kind of an open type adoption deal. So he's got a chance to meet her and kind of work with that. So it's been awesome.
That's very cool. In a scenario like that, does the mother like stay in the picture, or how does that work?
So she's not like, basically we can have kind of however open of a relationship we
Sure.
want. So we see her. We kind of started year 1. We send her regular pictures and updates and stuff like that,
Cool,
just letters
cool.
and stuff like that and stuff. But it's completely open to optional. Like if she wants to see him, she can ask, and we have control over it essentially. But we want him to know who she is. And all
Yeah,
that stuff.
no,
And
absolutely.
So, we're hopeful to keep that around. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, well, throw that mask on. Keep that
Okay,
mask
there you
on,
go.
because I'm going to be asking questions throughout the process, so we can.
Oh, we're asking questions. Well, man.
Yes, both while we're masked. Yep. So you'll have to look into the darkness, into your dark dystopia mind, and while we're tasting and asking questions, I just like to throw it all at you at once, Tyler.
Perfect. So you tell me when I can take it off, and I'll just leave it on until you say so.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. So go ahead. Show us the box before you open it. I just like seeing the
I'm not sure
the
if I'm
pretty
in front
box.
of the screen.
Yeah, you're doing good. That's wonderful. Oh, look at that.
No, a little Vanna White action
Yeah,
here.
little bit. I'm loving it. All right, you're good, my man.
Just my calling.
Grab the first one.
Okay, open box. Show the camera and then open it, kind of thing.
Yeah. Show the camera. I already have pictures and stuff, but I do like to make you struggle a bit. So yeah, show the camera.
Perfect.
Oh, it figures you got it right on the money on that one, huh?
Well, we got skills. Go ahead and go.
All right, whenever you're ready. What do we got?
Oh, there's definitely chocolate.
Okay, so we got some chocolate. What's going on? Anything else? Any magic in there?
There's like an Odie crunch to it.
What kind of a crunch?
So, kind of like an oat, like a little, almost like a crunch bar.
Okay, take another bite. Let's get to the center of that.
Okay.
I wonder if
Oh, yeah, there's some, maybe like an almond. I think.
I gotta tell you, man, that's not what I was expecting. That's what you got?
It's like a, it's like a, I think so.
Yeah, nothing, no other tastes in there, huh? Interesting. Yeah, that was a little deceiving. This is what that
Oh,
is,
wait,
guys.
there's something chewy there.
Oh, you got.
I got some, there's got one of those Jaffa things. I think there's some orange in it.
Oh, okay. So you're getting flavor now. Okay, good. Good. I was wondering. I was like, wow, that's deceiving.
At first, it's like, this is just a chocolate bar. Like, you're gonna
Yeah. Here's a chocolate bar.
give me a crunch bar that we ordered from England.
Hey, Kristen, I hear you. Can I have a vowel, please? She says.
Vowel.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah. It might be a
Well
little
done.
delayed, I guess. Maybe I'm not sure. All right.
No, I think that's from my Vanna White moment.
So,
That's very clever.
so what did you what did you think about the snack? So it had like an orangey taste to it. You said?
Yeah, yeah. It's like there's gosh, I'm trying to remember the full name of it. There's something called like a Jaffa something or other in it's like chocolate covered. It's like orange covered with chocolate.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. All right.
I don't know if that's what that is, but that's my guess.
So let me see here. That was I'm going to give you three options to choose from. Okay.
Okay.
We've got is that a chocolate jelly pops candy bar? Is that called candy pops, or is it called jelly popping candy?
What was the first one?
The first one was chocolate jelly pops, candy pops, or jelly popping candy.
Let's go with Candy Pops, number 2.
Candy pops. All right, that's actually Marvelous Creations jelly popping candy, which is
Oh.
why I was really intrigued when you were just. Oh, I think that might be an almond. I'm like, where's the jelly popping candy? Where's the candy? I was so excited about that one, and I tell you what, it let me down. It let me down.
It's very subtle. Maybe I got the wrong part of the bar.
We still have another fun one in there that later on I found out was going to be a little bit more difficult than I had originally thought. So get ready for that one. But
I'm ready.
so let's talk dystopia a little bit, okay? While we're getting ready for the next one. Your book has a unique dystopian setting, and what I would love to do at this point is I would just love to explore the inner workings of what your inspirations were for developing when you were developing this world.
Yeah, so I started to sense this, and it seems like it's gotten worse, but this attitude in culture where there's this kind of, I don't know, it sounds more like when people say tolerance, what they actually mean is, I want you to think what I think and say what I say. It's almost like we've moved to a spot where it's no longer okay to have a difference of opinion and respect each other.
Right.
And so it just seemed like there was almost this kind of increasing pressure towards forced conformity. And so that was kind of I started to notice that. I was like, man, what would happen if this continues down this road and we don't find a way? And that's because that's kind of what the fun of what a dystopia is you take something you see, or you think, well, if I took this out of society, how would it be different?
Sure.
And I said, well, what would this look like if you created a culture that was built around this forced conformity? And that kind of started into this thing. I was like, okay, well, how do you create that? I was like, well, you'd have to have a controlled environment. So then that's where I kind of went to this, well, let's have these cities. And then it just started spiraling into, oh, this would be cool. And that was where the kind of the Outlands became this idea of, then you've got a group in control of this area. And the greatest threat that they have is, if you don't play by our rules, we'll kick you out. And because what's outside of the walls is so much scarier than anything else, then people kind of are forced to conform out of fear of what'll happen if they don't. And you have just so many different levels of ways. And so it just kind of became let's add this element and that element, but kind of just imagining like, you get this kind of this group of people that once they have power, they want to make everybody just like them, and they can't accept differences in any way outside of what they've said.
Right. No, that's I have to agree with you on that. To be entirely honest, that it is kind of the world we're living in. When did you start writing the book?
I started writing it about maybe about 8 or 9 years, probably 10 years ago, actually.
You started writing
So
the Outlands 10 years ago.
yeah, actually, so I wrote it and had it completely done, and then didn't really have an outlet to go with it. And I got doing a bunch of other things and stuff like that, and so it just kind of sat on my desktop. And then after we adopted our son, I wanted to go pick it back up because a lot of the components and the layers of the story were about someone who's different from everybody else in the world around them. They don't fit in that system, and so I wanted to tell a story where it's like that's the main character. Like, it's okay kind of to say, like, it's okay to be different and for your story to be different from everybody else's story, because, with adoption, that's, it's becoming more common, but it's nowhere near a norm. So it's like,
Yeah.
hey, your journey is going to look a little different than everybody else's, and I want you to have a character that you can see that with,
Uh-huh.
as you grow up
Yeah.
and stuff. So
Oh, for sure. That's
I rewrote
amazing.
it a couple of years ago, and yeah.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, that's almost as if you were a premonitionist, because if that's what your motivation was, I mean, and now stepping into 2020 and everything we've kind of experienced, I mean, it's kind of right up the alley there. So that's interesting. All right, let's move.
Yeah, there's stuff I'm like, man, if I had, yeah, go ahead.
No, while you're
rambling.
talking, grab your next one.
Okay, yeah. So I was just thinking about that. I was like, man, if I had done this when I first wrote it, it would have seemed like I was a little bit more insightful than it does now.
All right, show me the one you want to
so-
do for. Okay, let's hold that one off. That's the tough one. All right.
Okay.
All right. So let's.
Yeah, that's going to be tricky. I'm feeling that's going to be hard.
Yeah, I'm sorry for that, but that's gonna make hey, this is showbiz here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's try the
You
next
gotta pick
one.
it up.
All right. So while he's opening that up, guys, I'll show you a bigger picture of that. There you go. That's what he's about to take in.
Okay, that's it's like a potato chip. Oh, with a ring on it. So it's like it's like a circular potato chip.
What, you got a flavor in there, or how's that going?
It's faint. Maybe like an onion or like a pickled kind of a flavor.
Okay, so we're definitely gonna need to take a look at your taste buds after the show, and that's.
No, they may not be very good.
All right, awesome. So great. All right, man. So let's check that out. We've got, and help yourself. You can have as much as that as you want. Just send the rest back when you're done. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So are those called roundios? Okay. Are those called hula hoops, or are those big hoops?
They're hula hoops.
Those are actually called big hoops, barbecue beef flavored.
Beef. There it is. It's ramen. It's like the ramen beef powder.
Yeah,
There it is.
onions, or sure. No, that's great, man. You got that one wrong too. Congratulations on
I'm
that.
crushing this thing.
You are crushing it, man. All right, let's move on to another question. What kind of characters can we expect to find in your story? Dystopia. The reason why I asked that is because I'm kind of collecting my thoughts on what I feel dystopia is, and what's that? Is it Elijah? Eli? What's that movie with who is it?
The Book of Eli?
Denzel Washington.
Yep.
And their characters are superbly unique in respect to the fact that they're humans, but they're unique. So I'm wondering, what kind of characters can we expect to find in the Outlands?
So I wanted to create a group of essentially misfits who really wouldn't fit together unless they had to. And so the main character is a guy named Victor, who is just insanely smart. He's got a very I kind of wrote him to be a sort of a Machiavellian mind, where he is tactically brilliant. He just assesses and analyzes things. But unlike most people who have that kind of thinking, he actively chooses to be relational and to care about people. And so, not because he has to, but because it's a choice that he consciously makes, because he's actually so intelligent, he has like an emotional distance that he can create from people. But he's kind of the guy that keeps them safe and keeps them kind of ahead of all the trouble that could come their way, because he has all the plans and the strategies. And so the other characters all have kind of unique gifts that they bring to the table. So there's a guy that actually was based off of a guy that I knew, or friends of mine from my college days, who just talks all the time, just never stops talking, and they kind of make fun of him a lot.
He's always got a story,
yeah. Well, yeah, and it's just like rapid fire questions. It's like there's never. It's like one thing is it's like is silence physically painful for you, kind of a thing, and so that's kind of a deal with one of the characters. There's a girl who's like, because they're all sort of forced to be thieves in order to survive. And so this girl who's just terrible at it, but she's so fast, she always gets, she can do it. But she's just like, they joke about, she's a terrible thief because she's so fast. So she basically takes what she wants. Everybody sees her do it, but then she runs away and nobody can catch her. And so they're just kind of holding in this mix of skill sets and blends. There's a guy who's principled, and so like he refuses to actually steal. He's a thief who refuses to steal. And so he kind of goes, hey, I need this. Let me work for it. Let me do something for you. To kind of uses his skills as a trade.
Now, do you define... Do you like define and describe their clothes and like their attire and that sort of thing?
I get into it a little bit. I leave a lot of that because I describe essentially all the other people have uniforms, because everybody's forced to wear stuff based on their job and their class. And so they're like, you can see them and identify them. And so because this group that are called undesirables don't really have that, they're more kind of cloaked and just sort of... The
rebels,
Yeah, they just kind of fit a little bit differently into the mix. So I get into that. I try to give them a little bit of a description, but I wanted to leave enough that, for the most part, the reader could kind of take it their own direction with a lot of the different characters as to what exactly they look like and stuff like that. But it's just, try to create a good blend of people. There's a guy that's kind of a jerk, and every circle's got that one group of friends, that one person that you're just like, why do we deal with you? And they're just like, they just have occasional moments enough that you're like, all right, we're not going to kick you out of the group, but it's like you want to every other time, and then they just have this one moment that'll tide them over for another like month, and so I got him in there.
Of course. Yeah. All right, well, we've got a very interesting one now. I'm going to give you a second to work on that. I'm going to ask you another question. Go ahead and try and open that, and but I'm going to forewarn you, it's a two-part process. Have you ever eaten? Is it called Big Dip? Have you ever eaten that as a kid?
A what?
I think it's called Big Dip, if I'm not mistaken. It's like a...
Oh, the gum that you like? It's like a chewing tobacco gum?
No, is that Big Dip? Because no. I might be totally off. It might not be called Big Dip, but it has... this doesn't have that, but the candy I'm referring to, it has like a little white stem that you can eat, but you dip it in the sugary substance. And
Fun Dip.
The Fun Dip. This is similar to that, only I believe... it's not a hard stick, but you're gonna have to deal with that. Sorry about that, brother. I did not know. We just sent it, and then after I was doing some research on it to get the choices, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's a powdery substance.
I think I got it figured out here.
All right, good. Oh, look at this. You are pretty talented. All right, there we go. Ooh. Oh, look at that. And it's black. And what is that? Oh.
I don't know what that is.
But I'm going to go in for another round.
Ooh, I don't know what that is. It's like a sugary black licorice?
Oh, my goodness. I think your taste buds came back, my man.
Oh. Yep, that tastes like black licorice, I think.
Sugary black licorice. All right, I'm hoping you're loving that.
It's so shocking every time.
What'd you say?
It's a very shocking flavor.
Yeah. I don't think that's the flavor, man. I think that's the the thing you're sucking on is black licorice.
Oh, that's the stick is a black licorice.
I think it is. But go ahead and try and bite the stem. Let's see if we can get you to bite the stem and see if it is black licorice. Can you eat it?
Sure.
So it's edible. All right, so you're just like me then. You don't like. I hope you have some water, man. Drink some water if you don't like that.
I gotta find my glass without knocking it out of my.
Oh my goodness, the things I didn't think about. You know what I mean? Oh man, you're being a good sport. That's amazing, brother. All right, so let's see here. Let's go for some choices while you spill your water. We've got the Big Dip. Is that called sherbet fountains or power dips? This one's gonna fool you.
I'm so bad at guessing.
Once again,
the big powder dips.
The Big Dip, powder dips. Is that your choice?
I'd go.
Is that your final choice?
I'm gonna guess it. I'm gonna talk myself into the wrong one.
You're not gonna believe this. Then I think the black licorice overpowers everything in like the world. To be entirely honest with you,
it's the only thing you can taste.
It's absolutely horrible. But
it's still there.
I'll tell you what. It's called
Big Dip, Power Dip, or
sherbet fountain.
Let's go sherbet fountain.
Yeah, well, that's good because I all the clues I was giving you, Tyler. I was wondering if you'd
pick up. Wonder if you were smart enough. Look, man, it's not easy being this dumb.
So
I'd make it look natural, but it takes work.
Yeah. So go ahead and reach into that box. Is there anything else, or is that it?
I think that's it.
You got, all right, I wasn't sure. Sometimes we send 4. I don't know what these guys do behind here. They have, you know what I mean, whatever they want to do.
I can take it off. You want me to leave this on?
No. If you're done, that's it. Yeah, you can take that off.
Okay.
We can see your forehead again.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm used to covering the other one up. I covered up from here up before, but
I know, right? Yeah. So I'm gonna actually. Something just came in the news. I don't know if you read the article, but I caught the article today that you can actually catch COVID through virtual now. So
perfect.
So now I'm gonna have to have my guests start wearing a mask and a blindfold. It's gonna be marvelous. It's gonna be wonderful.
The candy and the chocolate.
Yeah. Can you show me? Can you show me?
Yeah. It's just little. I think I just must have gotten a piece that didn't have the candy.
Yeah, that's it. What a bummer. They need to put more in it. I see it. Yeah, I definitely see it. Yeah. All right. Well,
maybe
listen.
What
do we got here? Let's see. So, as a pastor, do you feel that your interpretation of certain biblical scriptures and such, has that assisted you in kind of developing this world of dystopia?
No, I really try to stay away from that. As a pastor, I get to deal with a lot of people's weird views on Revelation enough.
Right.
So that's more like a haunting terror of mine that I would rather not escape to. So I'm like, I want to get away from that's not fun and relaxing for me.
Yeah.
That's just like, oh good, what weird view are you going to think this is? So no, I avoided Revelation as much as I could with this.
Good for you.
So.
Good for you. I mean, I listen. You could write a good book with some of the things in the book of Revelation, though. Like a real good book. Not that they haven't already done it with some. I think it's the Bible. Is that what they call it? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, they did make a whole series called the Left Behind series.
What's it called?
That deals with the Left Behind series. There's a whole series of books there that was pretty big. They made a couple of them into some. Well, I think Nicolas Cage was in one of the movies.
Really?
Actually.
Oh, no kidding.
It was not good.
Have you seen?
Not good at all.
Have you seen the series called The Chosen?
I have. Yeah. I haven't seen all of it.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I have to be entirely honest with you. I don't normally lean towards like movies or shows like that because I just don't like the acting and I just don't like it. But this one, oh my goodness, yeah. I was like, wow. So
it's leagues better than any. Like I have people always like, oh, you got to watch this Christian movie, and I'm like, I love the message. I hate the movie. Don't make me do it.
Yeah.
I'll read the Bible for the message. That's fine. I don't need this. No, I can't. This acting, the production quality. I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah. But I think that The Chosen does one up on them. They did phenomenal.
Yeah. That's really well done.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you think of fatherhood, man? How you enjoying it?
It's great. It is unlike anything that I expected it to be, but
Right.
it's fantastic. I mean, it's like there's like a percentage of my brain that never really stops being focused on him, and
Sure.
I'd like to use it sometimes, like when he's asleep, but I don't ever get it back.
Is he running about now?
Yeah, yeah, he's everywhere. He talks all the time. He's doing like all he says so many different things. It seems like he's learns an entirely new thing every day. It's like where are you learning these things? Because I'm not teaching them to you, and you're going to know more than me by next month.
We're getting bombarded right now with messages from a couple of friends of mine here. They're wanting to know where the snacks are. What happened to the snacks? We forgot to do that this episode, huh? Or you showed up late and you missed them. You're gonna have to rewind it, and I think you can probably rewind the live if you want. But yeah, the snacks came and they were funny actually, man. You missed it. It was real good. But you can catch the replay on that Snack Master. What was the purpose? What was your purpose for writing the Outlands?
So part of it was, I enjoy creating stories, and fiction is such a fun world in that you can kind of make points and express ideas without it being overt and in your face.
Sure.
But you can just sort of subtly hint at it. You can express a lot of different things. And so, I wanted to sort of tell a story where people could, one, that's something that's enjoyable and you can kind of get lost in, but also I wanted it to be something that says like, looking at a lot of times, you see movies, you see stories all the time where these people, they have attitudes, they make decisions, they do things, but in the movie, you don't really see the consequences of that. And so I wanted to write a story that had a little bit more of that. Man, doing anything has consequences, but not doing anything has consequences. And so you have to decide, because I wanted, that's when making decisions, you got to decide whether or not you're prepared for the cost of the damage or the good that action or inaction can do. And so I wanted to kind of infuse a lot of those just different ideas and thoughts into a story form and kind of sort of show it that way a little bit.
Sure. Now, coming from someone who's recently gotten into a 3-book series, well, it's a 5-book series. I apologize. The 3rd book's coming out. I just finished the 3rd book, and I did it in epic fantasy and paranormal romance. And I got to tell you, building the world in book 1 took a lot of time and thinking, and it took a lot of descriptives that really extended the length of the book for me. How long is your book?
If it's in print, it's 309 pages.
Good, yeah.
On the Kindle, the way it maps out, I think it's 254 with that. So I tried to use it a lot more into situations and stuff, to where like there's the first couple chapters are heavy, but then it kind of infuses more as the story progresses. The story's also giving you a picture of the world a little bit as well.
Sure. So do you kind of do you identify how it came about? How the world
Yeah, in part. Yeah, I give it enough, like I give it a kind of a big brush stroke for that, because you always want to leave that like, well, if this goes really well, and maybe I'll write a prequel kind of a thing of getting into the details of it. But yeah, and weirdly, the origin of it started to feel really familiar too, because it was so essentially leaders became very corrupt and people stopped trusting the government to lead them well. And so they started kind of fighting amongst each other because everybody was just looking out for themselves. And that kind of, there's a groups of people that said, this is going to fall apart. We need to do something. And they're the ones that actually survive. But they start off as seeming like the crazy people going, the world's ending.
Sure.
But then you sort of look at, well, how does this go? Well, now we keep having, you have greater and greater weapons, greater advanced technology. All it takes is, it could go as, when you start losing power, people trying to hold on to power, people fighting against that. It got into a big kind of, so it kind of spirals into one of those aspects of.
So your book still has like a government then? So it's not just kind of like people who have claimed leadership roles. You've got actual government that's still inserted into the book.
Yes, but it would it would kind of be like if you had a group of sort of religious extremists that were sort of the people that like everybody would just normally look at and go, yeah, they're just the weirdos that live up in the hills. but then they're the ones that survive and control the last place that you can live. And so they form a new government, but it's almost kind of Animal Farm. They end up finding a way to get into power, and then they turn power into what they want it to be,
right.
which is not all that different systemically from a normal one, but it's their version of what would work.
Nice. Is this a book that you'd read to your son in the wee small hours of the evening?
At 2, he might not understand all the words yet, but I did deliberately write it in a way that I didn't want it to have, I didn't want to go into overly graphic content in that. And so I've created basically new slang, because as time and culture evolves, language evolves. And so I created new slang words that would not be offensive, but that would be used in places where characters who didn't, they might use that instead of something else. And so I kind of allowed it to be, here's an authentic way for this character to be a character without me having to be inappropriate or crude in that expression. So I wanted to kind of capture both of those so that, when my son gets a little bit older, I could read it to him.
Good. Very good.
So,
all right.
Not there's anything wrong with the other stuff, but just kind of going, hey,
No.
I'd rather be able to read it to him before he turns 40 and then feel good about it.
If you're reading it to him at 40, there's a problem with your fatherhood.
That's fair.
Let's make sure he knows how to read before 40. Let's do that for him, okay?
Yeah, I like that. He'll know how to read by a week from now, and I'll be
he's gonna be a genius. Watch.
He'll be reading to me, and I'll be like, okay.
Well, listen, it has been an amazing episode. I laughed a lot. I love laughing, man, and you're a great guy. I do appreciate you coming on and taking a little time to hang out with us. Before I go, I always like to give you the floor so you can talk to the audience a bit. Tell them anything you want to tell them, any place you'd like them to visit. I can tell you guys right now, the book sounds amazing to me, and if you look at some of the reviews, I always do that, and his reviews are phenomenal. So he's got some really great feedback on this book, and all the links are in the description of this video. But go ahead, Tyler. The floor is yours, my man.
All right. Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and to eat snacks. And my bag says hula hoops on it, just so big hula hoops.
You know what? So, you're absolutely right. You got that one right, too. But we are going to give away a free book for you anyway to the audience. Anybody who's interested, please just let us know so we can get you guys out that free book for sure. But go ahead.
You can see there's the page, the Facebook page on for the Outlands on Facebook, where my English is apparently falling apart on me. My main thing is I love writing, I love storytelling, and I love the worlds that writing can take you to, because writing can inspire, and writing can also be an escape from a world that has become untenable at times, whether that's in a home life, in a personal life, or just in a world where you're like, I'm sick and tired of having to wear a mask everywhere. I want to imagine a world where I don't. And so I just love what writing can do. And I guess as people with that and readers, my thing I love feedback, good, bad, honest. I love to hear, hey, how could I make this better? Or what interests you about this, or what works, or just even talking craft and writing, things like that and stuff. And so I would love to hear from you. If you've got a willingness to share thoughts and ideas, I'm still crafting more of the story. So feedback can only make you better. And if you're not growing, you're dying. So
when's the second one coming out?
As soon as I can get it done. So on chapter 2, at this rate, I would love to say by the end of the year, but we'll kind of still tracking along with that a little bit. So
excellent. All right. Well, listen, thank you again, man. It was a pleasure having you on the show. Hang back. We're going to chit-chat at the end of this, all right, when everything's said and done. So just hang tight, okay, my man?
All right.
All right, everyone. Well, that is going to do it for tonight's show. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. And remember, we give away our free books to anyone who's interested. Now, that's whether you caught us live or you're catching the replay. So be sure to comment if you are interested so we can enter you to win, okay? Now, if you did enjoy tonight's episode, I'm grateful for that. And we would urge you and invite you to go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the like button, and share the video, all right? Right now. What do you... what are you still doing here? All right, my friends. Keep reading, keep writing, and remember, never eat yellow snow.